All right. Well, my name is Elizabeth Warren. I am the director of the Goshen Scout Reservation here in National Capital Area Council, and I'm joined by Sarah Moses. Sarah, will you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm the camping specialist, so that means I do a lot of the back end work, registrations, and whatnot. Uh, while Elizabeth is talking, I'll be personing the Q&A, so there should be a Q&A at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions during the presentation, we'll probably answer them, but feel free to ask them in the Q&A section at the bottom.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, for orienting us to the Q&A portion of today. We'll be answering all those questions, like Sarah mentioned, ongoing throughout our webinar. I promise it's very likely that we will answer your question as we talk today, and then we'll have a more formal session at the end of today's presentation. Um, One other thing is that this webinar is being recorded. So the live recording that we have today will be posted on our YouTube page, as well as the We Own Adventure blog spot. That's NCAC's very own blog spot. So without further ado, let's talk about Lenhok'sin High Adventure. Before we talk about Lenhok'sin High Adventure specifically, I want to do a little bit more of a general why high adventure. Um, High adventure isn't just a thrilling experience. It's often a pinnacle and a very transformative part of a scout's journey. Personally, Lenhok'sin High Adventure and high adventure in general is very close to my heart as it's something that my venture crew, when I was a scout in scouting, did a lot of. And it's always, when I think about my scouting career, often what I go back to is those experiences that I had to help me form into the leader that I am today. And we want your units, your youth, to be able to have those same opportunities. It's often where leadership is tested, friendships are forged, and personal growth accelerates over that course of time that our youth are in a challenging outdoor high adventure experience. When at a high adventure a trek or program, we know that it helps to build resilient leaders by challenging our scouts to step outside their comfort zones. Being uncomfortable doesn't mean being unsafe. It teaches them self-resilience, teamwork, and problem solving under pressure. Uh, and as we've mentioned, it's also the pinnacle of the scouting experience. When I talk about summer camp, I often refer to it as the pinnacle of the scouting year. That high adventure is really what they go back to when they think about the most impactful experiences that they've had is within that high adventure. Oh, excuse me for that. Going a little faster than I wanted to. So why high adventure? Let's orient you into some high adventure opportunities that you have here at the Goshen Scout Reservation. If you're not familiar, Goshen Scout Reservation is one of National Capital Area Council's scouting properties. And here at Goshen Scout Reservation, we house 5 different summer camp opportunities. One of those is a week-long camp for Webelos and Arrow of Light Scouts, who are Cub Scouts. We have 3 resident Scouts BSA summer camps, so week-long summer camp programs for Scouts BSA youth. And then we have Lenhok'sin High Adventure, which is our own local high adventure base, which we're talking about today. Lenhok'sin High Adventure at Goshen Scout Reservation has offered high adventure opportunities for over 50 years. If you're not aware, Goshen Scout Reservation is going to be celebrating its 60th anniversary in 2027, and Lenhok'sin High Adventure, which has existed in many forms over the last few decades, celebrated 50 years of operation back in 2022. So really, really excited that it's been around for a very long time. And sometimes we hear that it's NCAC's best kept secret. We don't want it to be a secret. We want everybody to know about Lenhok'sin High Adventure and for it to be a part of your unit's plan, especially your high adventure plan. This is an accessible local high adventure opportunity. We are a nationally accredited council-run operation. So what that means is every year, we as Goshen Scout Reservation and as Lenhok'sin High Adventure go through an annual accreditation assessment process that tells us that we're doing a really great job and identifies areas to improve on. So we are nationally accredited. And this also has program diversity that supports retention and advancement within your unit. Lenhok'sin is a program that grows with you and meets you where your unit is and where they want to go. I love looking at units that return to Lenhok'sin year after year, sometimes in larger gaps, sometimes back-to-back years, like Troop 152 out of, I believe, Burke Lake, or sorry, Wolf Trap District here in National Capital Area Council. Here's a photo of the unit attending in summer of 2016 and then returning again in summer of 2022. And it was cool to see not the same youth, but some of the same adults returning and helping to ensure that these youth have that formative high adventure experience. Lenhok'sin High Adventure for many serves as an introduction to high adventure, but please don't leave this webinar thinking that it's just for people that have never been backpacking or canoeing before. I mentioned on the previous slide, Lenhok'sin is a program that grows with you, and we're going to explore that a little bit more in a moment as we're diving into our different program opportunities. But for many, this is serving as a platform to prepare for what I'll call larger or national high adventure bases, such as Philmont and Northern Tier. So our challenge to you at the end of this webinar today is to think about how Lenhok'sin can fit into either an introduction to high adventure if your scouts are newer to some of these experiences that we're going to talk about, and then for maybe more of your senior youth, how this program can fit into larger high adventure plans that you have within your unit. I've mentioned that Lenhok'sin High Adventure is part of the Goshen Scout Reservation. We're in a small town called Goshen, Virginia, which is about 3 to 3.5 hours south of our nation's capital. Goshen Scout Reservation has about 3,000 acres that makes up all of GSR, about 450 of that being a large private lake that we own and operate. But we're also surrounded by, I believe, 25,000 acres of state game land, as well as wildlife preserve, which we have access to and assist in maintaining trail systems at. So we have a lot of land and a lot of trail system that your crews get to explore. But before I get ahead of myself, Lenhok'sin High Adventure, when you break it down, has two key programs that we're going to discuss today. We have backpacking treks and canoeing treks. So we're going to start by talking about our backpacking treks, transition over to canoeing, and then talk about things that are applicable to both of them. So let's get started with our backpacking treks. I mentioned earlier that Lenhok'sin is a program that grows with you. Our backpacking trek is a true testament to that. We like to say that we are built on a plan your own adventure structure. And what that means is that all of our backpacking treks are going to be able to be tailored to your crew and their experiences, their experience levels, and the goals that they're setting. And the reason why it's based that way is we tell you where you need to be at the end of each day, and it's up to your crew, your youth, to figure out how to get there. So it's a really great way to practice what they've been learning in different scouting skills, like maybe orienteering, land navigation. Do your scouts remember how to read a map? Do they remember what contour lines are? It's a great place for real application of that. And we'll talk about round robin stations in a moment where we sit with your youth to be able to help them do that route planning. There's not many other high adventure experiences where your scouts are given the tools and trusted to make that route plan themselves, which is why it grows with you. We have units that attend our backpacking treks that maybe only feel comfortable hiking 3 to 4 miles a day, and that's great. We have a program just for them. And then we have units that maybe want to work on their 50-miler award. That's great as well. We have just as much trail system and a program curated for them as well. Our backpacking trek is a week-long experience. So if you look on our little timeline here, you arrive at our base camp. This is Camp Baird at the Goshen Scout Reservation on Sunday, generally around 1 to 2 p.m. And that's an orientation session that we have on Sunday, all about making sure that you and your crew are ready to go on your week-long backpacking adventure. On Monday, you hit the trail, as we say at Lenhok'sin, and you start on your week-long backpacking journey and quest. Friday, you return to base camp, and Saturday, you depart and head on to your next adventure. So you've got about 5 nights on the trail, but it's a week-long program altogether. A little more of that week at a glance specific for a backpacking trek. We mentioned that Sunday you're arriving at Lenhok'sin. Camp Baird is the name of our base camp, which is just for Lenhok'sin scouts to come to and gather on that Sunday. And we're participating in round robin orientation sessions. So a staff member who becomes your site guide for the day is assigned to your unit, and they're going to help to guide you through a final bag check. Make sure that you have everything that you need for the trail, and maybe you're not bringing some extra stuff. I heard of a scout once who brought a book, a copy of the Odyssey with them on the trail trek. That might not be something that you need, and something the staff member is allowed to help you maybe leave in your vehicle back at camp. We also have sessions on health and safety. Maps and orientation is that place where we're helping your crew to complete your route planning. Quartermaster, where we talk to you about water purification. Essentially, these round robin stations are curated safety talks to make sure that your scouts and you have the skills and tools that you need to be successful on the trail. And if you have questions, we're happy to teach you. On Monday, again, hit the trail and you depart from base camp for your week-long adventure. Monday through Friday, we're hiking during the day. Most people tend to complete a lot of their backpacking from maybe they leave their outpost. We'll talk about outposts in a moment, around 9 in the morning, and then they'll hike until about 2 or 3. And then we have activities for you to participate in at these outpost programs in the afternoon. And that's also where you reside for that night. And then on Friday, you return to base camp for a closing campfire. And there should be a Saturday on here that says depart and on to your next adventure. Here's a little overview of just some of the area that you get to explore at the Goshen Scout Reservation. So I'm about to introduce our outpost programs that when we're saying we tell you where you need to be at the end of each day and you're going to figure out how to get here. This is the trail system that you become very familiar with. And we may say, okay, you have to be at our Foxfire outpost, which is just above Camp Baird on this day, and you have to get there from maybe the Camp Olmsted area. So your scouts would be responsible for navigating how they would get from point to point. So in the backpacking trek, you're hiking, you're backpacking during most of the day on that curated experience that your crew has set forth on. And then in the afternoons and evenings, we have what we call outpost programs. So these are staffed and facilitated activities at specific areas around our property for your scouts to participate in. Our 6 outpost programs are broken into 2 pieces. We have historical outposts and technical outposts. Really, historical is living history. There are places for your scouts to go and learn more about fur trapping and trading at the Mountain Man outpost. Also, while getting to do muzzle loading and muzzleloader rifle shooting, we have a 20th century blacksmithing forge called Foxfire, as well as Wood's Edge, which is a medieval outpost. So Mountain Man, Foxfire, and Wood's Edge are sometimes our more popular outposts to participate in. And on our technical outposts, we have a caving outpost. We have access to about 3 miles worth of cave system just outside of our property that our scouts are able to explore in a staff-led tour fashion. This was actually my first job at Goshen Scout Reservation, was working at the caving outpost. We have cope and climbing. COPE, if you're not familiar, stands for Challenging Outdoor Personal Experience. And we focus a lot on team building, recognizing that your team maybe has hit a few bumps along the way as a part of your trek. Maybe there's a little bit of friction, people are frustrated. COPE is a great place through these led team building initiative games to work through them and come out on the other side as a stronger team. But there's also some high adventure elements to it as well, such as our giant swing, zip line, leap of faith, which many of our scouts enjoy, but it's challenge by choice. Last, we have our aquatics area, which is paddleboarding and kayaking on the beautiful 450-acre Lake Meriwether. And after a long day of hiking, that's got to be one of the best ways to spend an afternoon and evening. So those 6 areas are our staffed outposts, but we do have primitive camping opportunities, which is really ideal for units that are looking to do maybe a little more heavy on the hiking side than participating in activities. If you're planning on going to a place like the Philmont Scout Ranch in the future, for example, there's a mixture of staffed and unstaffed opportunities where you have program at the staffed areas and just your own personal time in the primitive camping nights. A lot of units that choose to take a primitive night are looking for a longer hiking day. One of the longest hikes that we have, and certainly most challenging, is a hike to a mountain called Big Butt Mountain. And Big Butt Mountain is about a 13-mile round trip from the trailhead up to the mountain and back. So many of our units will choose to take a primitive night the night prior in order to be most successful when embarking on a trek like going to Big Butt. This is also great if you're choosing to work on your 50 miler award. If you're not familiar with the 50 miler award, it's something that is supported nationally by Scouting America, where I believe you can do it biking, hiking, paddling, and maybe on horseback. And there's also a conservation element to that, where we also support conservation service projects for units that are working towards their 50 miler award. We also have a wilderness award at Lenhok'sin High Adventure for how long you can stay out in the backcountry. So that's a great way to work towards earning that a supplemental award as well. Okay, so that's a crash course on our Lenhok'sin backpacking trips. Let's go ahead and transition over to our canoeing trek opportunities. Lenhok'sin High Adventure's canoeing trek features 63 miles of whitewater canoeing on the Upper James River Water Trail. This is a historical water trail that goes between 2 areas, one called Iron Gate and another to Snowden. So if you were to look at a map of the James River, those are the 2 areas that we're canoeing in between. And this section of the Upper James River Water Trail features over 100 Class 1 rapids, as well as 20 challenging Class 2 rapids. This includes the infamous Balcony Falls Rapid, which you'll get to see in just a moment. We partner with a company called Twin River Outfitters out of Buchanan, Virginia, and they help to supply a lot of the equipment that's needed for this, including helmets, which you're required to wear when you're going over the rapids. We've been partnering with them for over 15 years and are really wonderful to work with. They also own and operate several campgrounds along that 63 miles, and those are the campgrounds that you'll be staying in during your trek. So very similar cadence of schedule as what we reviewed with our backpacking trek, where you arrive at Lenhok'sin High Adventure at Camp Baird at the Goshen Scout Reservation on Sunday. But then on Monday, you're going to travel to Buchanan, Virginia. It's about a 45-minute to 1 hour drive from Lenhok'sin. And you're going to travel to Twin River Outfitters, where you participate in a safety orientation video. There is a member of the Lenhok'sin High Adventure staff who goes with you and is on the river with you the first 2 days. And then you're there on the river the rest of the week. And Friday, you return to base camp. One special thing that I love to point out, and I know we don't have it here on this slide, is that you're in a canoe with your crew, generally 2 people to canoe, Monday through Thursday. And you're going to say, but Elizabeth, what are we doing on Friday? On Thursday, the Twin River Outfitter staff swap out your canoes and give you whitewater kayaks. And you do whitewater kayaking for the final stretch of your trek. And that's where you get to go over the Balcony Falls Rapid. From there, you return back to base camp join us for our closing campfire, and then return home or head on to your next adventure on Saturday. Here are a few photos of the Upper James River Water Trail, courtesy of Chris Wilson from Crew 893. And here's that Balcony Falls Rapid. Where this photo is being taken is on a perch called Scout Rock. So it's a great place to pull over while your scouts are going down the falls to get some good pictures of them. Again, that really brief week at a glance, arriving on Sunday, on Monday, traveling to Twin River Outfitters. Monday through Thursday, you're staying at your designated campgrounds, traveling on canoes, and then Friday, you kayak for the remainder of that last day, returning to Lenhok'sin Friday afternoon, joining us for a closing campfire, telling us all about what a great time you had on the river, and then heading home on Saturday. So those backpacking and canoeing trek opportunities make up Lenhok'sin High Adventure. And we've got a few things to encourage you along the way. We've got a few different awards that kind of become baked into the things that you were doing naturally while you're on the trail or on the river, such as our Trailblazer Award for our backpacking crew and our River Trek Award for our River Trek cruise, as well as some others to acknowledge all the wonderful things you're doing during your week at Lenhok'sin High Adventure. Now, while you're planning your Lenhok'sin High Adventure trek, it's very possible that one of your youth may not be available to attend the week that you choose. And we'll talk about week selection a little bit later in our webinar today. But I want to let you know that there are some what we call provisional programs at Goshen Scout Reservation that are specific to Lenhok'sin High Adventure. Our NCAC High Adventure Committee, it's a group of volunteers that all share a love and a passion for high adventure, are helping to support a provisional river trek this year. I believe this is the second or third time that they've done a provisional river trek. They alternate every year on backpacking and river. And this year will be happening during our week 3 session. So that's July 12th through July 18th. And that leadership is provided by, well, any adult that would like to attend, any registered adult in Scouting America that would like to attend. We do have a member of the High Adventure Committee that's helping to spearhead that, but anybody else is welcome. So if you have scouts that are maybe more interested in doing a river trek, want to do additional high adventure, or aren't available for the weeks of high adventure that your unit is planning on attending, please let them know that this is something that is available to them. We want all youth to be able to participate. A second provisional opportunity for them is our GOAT crew. GOAT crew stands for Goshen Order of the Arrow Trail Crew. And this is a 2-week Lenhok'sin experience where our GOAT crew spends 1 week participating in trail work, trail clearing, and conservation initiatives. This happens during our Goshen Scout Reservation staff training week. So they're a really fundamental and crucial part of helping to ensure that our trail systems are ready and maintained in time for our campers that are attending during our week 1 session. And then their second week is a Lenhok'sin backpacking trek where they get priority choice of all the different programs that we talked about at our outposts as a thank you for all the hard work that they've done to help get Lenhok'sin ready and the Goshen Scout Reservation ready for your summer. This is a discounted rate program. So the Amangamat Whippet Lodge, which is our local chapter of the Order of the Arrow, helps to support this. So a scout participating in the GOAT crew only has to pay $200 for a 2-week experience. So provisional programs, like we said, River Trek with our High Adventure Committee, and then GOAT crew for a 2-week experience. All right, let's talk about some things that are applicable to both sides of our Lenhok'sin experience, both backpacking and canoeing, and what you need to do to prepare for your trek. First, I'm sure you're curious about what you're going to eat during your time at Lenhok'sin. We provide Sunday dinner through Saturday breakfast to you. So you're arriving in the afternoon on Sunday. You should plan to eat on your way down to the Goshen Scout Reservation. I know a lot of people are stopping at the new Buc-ee's along Route 81. And many of those meals, so Sunday dinner, Monday breakfast at the beginning of the week, and then Friday dinner and Saturday breakfast at the end of the week are served to you at Camp Baird, at our base camp, and we eat that together as one big camp. The rest of your meals, so Monday lunch through Friday lunch, are served in a trail style meal. So if you think of maybe dehydrated food like Backpacker's Pantry or Mountain House, lots of jerky, dried fruit, seed mix. Lots of hiking food, and they are served in what we call buddy bags. So two people with two servings worth of food are assigned to a bag, and that becomes their pairs. So we know that in scouting, we always travel and operate in the buddy system. So our bags, our food meals operate the same way. But these meals are curated to your crew with your crew in mind. So the number of scouts that you have attending, any dietary restrictions that you have reported are all factored into the meals that we curate for you. If you're curious about what any of these meals look like, we do have a sample menu for Lenhok'sin High Adventure available for review on our website under our food page. And that includes a standard menu as well as a vegetarian menu. But we here at the Goshen Scout Reservation are here to support you and your scouts in all of your needs, and especially all of your dining needs. Goshen Scout Reservation supports nut-free dining facilities, and that includes all of our trail food is nut-free. And we have designated vegetarian menu, as I mentioned earlier, and we're prepared to accommodate food allergies and dietary restrictions. We often accommodate for gluten-free and dairy restrictions. And we will have ingredient lists of what is in each of those food meals upon request. But this is a partnership in helping to plan and make your trek as successful of a trek as possible. We're going to talk about registration later on this evening, but when you are getting your list together of everybody's who's going to be attending in your Lenhok'sin trek, one of the pieces of information you should be gathering is any dietary restrictions or allergies that are needed. We ask that those be reported as a part of the registration process for each camper, and that allows for us to best plan and prepare for your time at Lenhok'sin. I want to talk a little bit about first aid and our health lodge at the Goshen Scout Reservation, because for some of you, whether you're an adult or a youth, this may be your first experience going on a high adventure area. Much of what we're doing, especially when we talk about backpacking at Lenhok'sin, is considered a front country backpacking experience. So you're always within 30 minutes of help. But on some of those, maybe you're going on a primitive night or you're hiking out to Big Butt Mountain, as we talked, or you're on the river trek. This is a little more of a backcountry experience where you're further away from care. So every unit, every crew that's attending Lenhok'sin High Adventure is required to have at least one member trained in wilderness first aid. We have a great initiative here in NCAC called the Outdoor Preparedness Initiative, where we host wilderness first aid classes at least once a month out of Camp Snyder, one of our camp properties in Northern Virginia. So if you're planning on going to Lenhok'sin, it is never too early to start booking and figuring out when you're going to get wilderness first aid certified. Now, this member does not have to be an adult. It can be a youth member of your crew as well. But I know we only have one required for this, but it may not be a bad idea to have two. And that's beyond your standard American Red Cross first aid certification. Lenhok'sin High Adventure itself does have resident staff who are also trained in wilderness first aid and are always prepared to assist you and your crew in any type of need or assistance that you have. All Lenhok'sin High Adventure crews and staff do have access to our greater Goshen Scout Reservation Health Lodge teams. If you remember back to the map of all of Goshen Scout Reservation, and I mentioned earlier that we have 5 resident camps. Each of those camps has a designated first aider. So as you're hiking around, if you need to stop at first aid, there are first aid stationed with trained staff members in those 4 other locations across our property. And then we have a greater health lodge, which is staffed by trained medical professionals such as EMTs and registered nurses. And they're always ready to provide additional care or consult for any of your needs. We also maintain a close relationship with our local medical and emergency services, and that allows us to connect you with the best possible care if a situation that we call beyond Scout rendered first aid were to occur. And this includes things like mental health services and counseling. Probably one of my favorite places to stop and visit while I'm hiking on the Lenhok'sin Trail is a trading post. So we've got trading posts all throughout the property. I remember several years ago, somebody created a trading post challenge to see which Lenhok'sin crews could go to every single trading post. But this is a place for you to purchase apparel such as t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, socks, souvenirs, maybe you forgot some camp equipment and you realize, oh shoot, I need to buy some bug spray. Well, that's there for you. Snacks and ice cream, as well as drinks, and probably our most popular item, slushies. So Lenhok'sin High Adventure has its own trading post, which will be open and ready to welcome you on Sunday when you arrive at camp, and again on Friday before you depart. But one of the things that we often encourage our Lenhok'sin units to take advantage of is visiting our memorial trading post and Goshen Museum up at our main headquarters area called Camp Post. And it's a really special area where you get to learn a little bit more about the founding of the Goshen Scout Reservation and Lenhok'sin High Adventure. Now, we talked earlier about how Lenhok'sin High Adventure is a great place for beginning and expanding on your high adventure programs. And when you're thinking about, well, what's the difference of going to Lenhok'sin versus maybe going to a place like the Philmont Scout Ranch or Northern Tier High Adventure? Those are 2 of our national high adventure bases. First, when you're comparing those different, high adventure experience versus a national high adventure experience versus a local high adventure experience, there's this should mean lower participation and travel costs. So less cost to you, both in terms of the participation fee and travel. You also have increased personal attention to your units, both before you arrive, so during the communication of the lead up process to arriving at camp and while you're at Lenhok'sin. We try to keep every outpost area to only 1 crew per outpost, and that allows it to just be your crew and the staff having a really special personal experience at that area. And on the river trek, we keep that to 2 crews on the river at one time with a staff member supporting them. So that really, again, increases your engagement that you have with the Lenhok'sin program while you're on the trek. We also know that Lenhok'sin High Adventure serves as a stepping stone to those national high adventure bases. So if you're planning on going to one of our national high adventure bases, let's say in 2027, 2026 would be a great year to utilize one of these Lenhok'sin programs as a shakedown opportunity. But again, you are not required to go to a national high adventure base to participate in Lenhok'sin. All right, as we go into this final leg of our webinar, I want to talk about some camp logistics. Lenhok'sin High Adventure, I made that same mistake as I did last week, Sarah. Lenhok'sin High Adventure operates on a 4-week schedule. This should not say full. I was using the same graphic for our Cub Scout camp, where that is full for week 1. Lenhok'sin High Adventure is open for bookings during the week 1 session. So ignore that full line. We are accepting reservations for weeks 1 through 4, all of those sessions. But as we mentioned, we do only book 2 river trek sessions each week, so that one fills fairly quickly.
And if I can jump in for a moment, the
Absolutely.
uh the river trek for most of the weeks is about half full, so if you're thinking about doing the river trek, I'd sign up sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Sarah. We don't currently have our 2026 cost of camp finalized. We're waiting on some final budgetary approvals as we look into the 2026 season, but I can share with you what the cost of camp was in 2025 and that we don't anticipate there being a major change between 2025 and 2026. We've got some different language and tiers here that I just want to orient you to. Right now, we are in what we call the unit registration phase, where when your unit is signing up to attend Goshen Scout Reservation, you pay a one-time non-refundable $200 registration fee, and that $200 registration fee books in your spot at camp. Now, a caveat that I want to mention for our units going to Lenhok'sin is that if your unit is also going to one of our Scouts BSA resident camps, so that could be Camp Olmsted, Camp Bowman, or Camp Marriott, those three resident Scouts BSA camps on our property, then you only have to pay a one-time unit registration fee between your two reservations. We're not going to, you don't have to pay that twice. So if you're looking on doing Lenhok'sin as well as a resident camp experience, please send Sarah Moses an email. We'll get you her email here at the end of the webinar, and we're happy to assist you in making that reservation. This is separate from camper costs and is not added into the cost of the camper, but helps us to make meaningful facilities and maintenance updates in preparation for your attendance at Goshen Scout Reservation this summer. So we're anticipating our camper deposit phase to open in, we're looking at early to mid-December once our cost structure is finalized. And we are then accepting $100 for every camper, and that is a $100 deposit that goes towards their final cost of camp. We're really working with our units to get committed earlier to attend summer camp so that we can provide you the best possible program and service. The earlier we know who's committed and who's attending camp, the better our ability is to gauge and project, planning and preparing your summer camp experience. So that $100 unit deposit is due by February 15th. And then the rest of the total amount to attend camp at the Goshen Scout Reservation is due by April 15th. We've got that as our early bird price. I know this has the 2025 date because we wanted to keep that consistent with the 2025 costs. But April 15th of every year is our early bird deadline, where you receive a discounted cost of attending camp if you register in full for a camper before that early bird deadline. After that early bird deadline, the cost of camp does increase by about $30 for youth and $40 for adults. My apologies, I have the adult regular price incorrect on that slide. If you're thinking of, let's say you have, actually, I'll hold that thought until one of our later slides. But we do have a free adult opportunity. So your crew, for every 10 youth that are registered, can receive one free adult. Now, when we're talking about cost of camp, I do want to bring to your attention our financial aid or campership program that we have available here in National Capital Area Council. We believe that no youth should be turned away from an opportunity to attend summer camp, and we provide financial aid for up to 50% of the cost of camp. This financial aid or campership is available on the NCAC webpage called ncacscouting.org. And to apply for a campership at Goshen Scout Reservation, my apologies, this is incorrect as well. This should say NCAC, Scouts BSA High Adventure at Goshen. So look for the one that says High Adventure, and that would key in that you're interested in applying a campership opportunity towards your High Adventure experience. Those who receive a campership and financial aid will receive a campership voucher to the email that they registered with that then can be applied to their registration. Now, as you're planning your crew, I want you to please keep in mind the Guide to Safe Scouting and our membership and leadership requirements that are required in there. We follow all of those as a camp accredited by Scouting America and operated by Scouting America. So we know that in Scouting America, at all times, a unit must have two adults who are over the age of 21 who are registered in Scouting America present with your unit. So again, when you're thinking about your crew and the makeup of your crew, you must have at least two adult leaders who are registered in Scouting America and over the age of 21 in attendance. Now, if you do have a youth female camper who is attending, then one of those registered adult leaders must also be female. In Scouts BSA, it is a requirement that all adults and youth must be registered members of Scouting America at the time of attendance. So being registered as a merit badge counselor does not count as part of this. So please refer to the Guide to Safe Scouting for a list of approved adult registration required positions for that. We want to make sure that when your crew arrives that you have the smoothest check-in process, but part of that is also you working with your unit to ensure that all the members of your crew are properly registered in Scouting America to attend. Now, I know many of the adults in the room, it may be hard for you to take a full week off of work to go on a high adventure experience. So we do have what we call splitting weeks available for our adults. We often see an adult leader maybe attending Lenhok'sin or any of our summer camps at Goshen for, let's say, Sunday to Wednesday, and then another registered adult comes in and takes over from them Wednesday to Saturday, for example. So that split adult goes on to one registration and they only pay the one registration fee to attend. To attend Lenhok'sin High Adventure, all participants must be 13 years of age by September 1st of 2026. Yes, that slide is correct. They must be age 13 by September 1st of 2026. This is to follow national high adventure guidelines for ages. And I'm sorry, that means that if your birthday is on September 2nd, we really look forward to welcoming you to Lenhok'sin High Adventure the following year. Again, when we're thinking about makeup of your crew, how many people have to attend, there's two different so our backpacking crews need to have at least 6 participants. That's youth and adult together, and a maximum of 12 participants. And I'm sorry, this should say our canoeing crews. So backpacking is minimum of 6 participants, maximum of 12, and canoeing crews are at least 8 participants. And a maximum of 12. And that's Twin River Outfitter, our partner company's policy on number of attendees needed to go on the river. This being said, if you do feel that you're going to have more than 12 members of your unit, both youth and adult, who want to attend, just send us a note, an email, and we're happy to work with you for creating an attendance plan to maybe accommodate some additional youth. If you've got a lot more than 12 people attending, often we'll have a unit send 2 crews, so 2 different sets that then can still function and participate in program together. All of our participants must also have a current and completed Scouting America annual health and medical record. So that may be referred in your crew as a med form. And that's parts A, B, and C. And part C requires a physician's signature. So as your crew is planning and preparing to attend Lenhok'sin High Adventure or any other high adventure experience, it's really good to get that physical scheduled because I know they can be difficult to schedule in a short timeline. All right, well, let's talk about some preparation recommendations. Being prepared, one being our motto in Scouting America, is really going to be paramount for your success, both on a Lenhok'sin backpacking trek as well as a Lenhok'sin canoeing trek. High adventure, backpacking, whitewater canoeing, it's all very challenging, especially if it's something that you are not used to doing, and that's okay. But there are some things that you can do to help best plan and prepare to be as prepared as possible for that experience. So, your homework for today, aside from registering, which we'll chat about next, um, is to one, read a little bit of information that we have available in our leaders guides for Lenhok'sin High Adventure. We have two separate guides. One is curated specifically for backpacking, and the other one for canoeing. This includes tips and tricks. It includes packing lists, some schedules, etc., as well as our general Goshen Scout Reservation leaders guides. And these are going to answer almost every question that you could possibly have about your upcoming high adventure experience. Your crew should also plan to one, plan and then carry out several weekend shakedown opportunities prior to the start of your Lenhok'sin trek. So that might be that if you're going backpacking, that your crew goes on a hike that's increasing in distance as well as increasing in the amount of weight that you're carrying on your back in your backpack every month up until your arrival in Lenhok'sin High Adventure. That would be what a successful shakedown looks like. For canoeing, similar type of experience, maybe you're working on paddle strokes in a paddle clinic. Maybe you're going out in a local river or lake setting and increasing the amount of time that you're paddling for. For example, the first day that you're going to be on the James River Trail is about 13 miles of paddling and a lot of fairly quiet water, not as many whitewater rapids in the first day. So thinking about paddling 13 miles, that's something that you want to work up to over the upcoming year. We also have a series of pre-camp trainings, one of them that we mentioned being wilderness first aid, that your crew should plan and have completed ahead of your arrival at Lenhok'sin High Adventure. All of this information is available on our Goshen Scout Reservation page. We've got a site just for Lenhok'sin on there, and they're also listed in those leader guides that we just discussed. All right, what comes next? So we gave you some homework a little bit about reviewing those leader guides, but before you do that, I want you to also think about when am I going to Lenhok'sin? Picking that date. We mentioned the canoeing treks are starting to sell out pretty quickly, so talk with your troop, that may be talking at a upcoming committee meeting about when that works for your troop calendar. If you on this call or an adult who are saying, I'm going to be the adult that's spearheading this, in addition to having a youth SPL or crew leader on that expedition, pick a week that works for your schedule. But units have also found success in doing a poll of the youth that are interested in attending to see when best works for maybe when scouts get out of school or when they're going on family vacation, so there's not a lot of conflict. So pick a date. Once you've picked that date, I'd recommend getting on your troops committee meeting agenda to inform them that you're attending Lenhok'sin High Adventure at Goshen Scout Reservation. You as a leader or as a crew leader, if you're a youth, want to review the Goshen Scout Reservation and